Oseo.
Oseo.
Good, that's a Cherokee greeting. I'm Coyote, and I'm here tracking the fat left undone. And I've been doing this weekly every Sunday for about 20 years or so, like that. And we have been doing them at Twig's Tea and Coffee Shop, where we also play music. But for the past year, COVID-19, we've been doing them here at Coyote's Creation Lodge. And so that's the presentation. And so the camera records them on a disc, and then this disc is mailed, postal mail, to Tim Britton in Chula Vista, who puts them up on his site. 2 weeks ago, February 28th, that disc did not show up at his house. It's somewhere in the postal system somewhere. And the theme for this month of March is Women's Herstory Month. So that's what I'm doing. And so February 28th, I had kind of launched that off for this theme. So I'm kind of looping back to February 28th with some of this and kind of catch it up, in this theme, in this sequence that way. So that's, much of what's going on here at this time. And February was it's called the month of the eaglets. And that's because in January, the eagles was in the eggs, and at the end of January they hatched. And so then the next month is the eaglets. The actual name is Atsabias, meaning the eagle, her son, literally. So now at the end of February, we're looking at the hatchlings becoming fledglings. And so if you go look down here, you'll see that's why I have this little fellow there. And also I'm extolling the eagle. The principal eagle in Native America is mother, mother eagle. But all eagles are eagles. And up at Big Bear Lake or thereabouts, and that's in the San Bernardino Mountains, east of Los Angeles, north of here. Right now, there's a camcorder that is monitoring a pair of nesting bald eagles. That's Atsaligai, the white eagle. And this scene that I saw just the other day, because it's been snowing, the mother eagle, she has her wings, covering over the nest and her eggs, and she's covered with snow. In her head is white poking up out of there, and for a flash it kind of reminded me of the dome of the White House Hogan. So I thought that was tremendous, and then she began to rise, and the crusted snow began to slide off her wing. Wonderful, wonderful picture. So there still is some eaglets in the works. We're waiting for them to come out. And if you can just show to me here, we just came from Idlewild, and that's in the San Jacinto Mountains, and it's the medicine place of the Mulawitam, or the Koya. And I've come back with this wonderful piece of the eagle, bolo tie we call it. Now this eagle has a blue beak. That means that this eagle speaks medicine. And I'm speaking medicine here today. Good. Now we can go over here and look at this. This is Deb Haaland. I'm featuring on my honor shield there. And she is President Biden's nomination for the Secretary of the Department of Interior. And everything great goes with this one. Because she's the first woman, the first Native American, and all of that, for this role like that. And that makes a big difference. And you know that there are those Republicans in the best pockets of those mining and oil companies that don't particularly like that idea. But there we have it, And the way that I've pictured her here, this is the jeweled hoop to honor her, and an eagle feather there. And this is a Cherokee, like a wreath like that of the autumn leaves that, there. And she has the emblem of the sun of New Mexico and the great star nation here. And all of this surrounding her is the great star nation. So that's the way that we're starting out with this theme of woman. Just a week ago, Monday, that was it March 7th, and then the next day, Monday, would be March 8th. Nancy Pelosi had designated that day as International Women's Day. And she and Hillary Clinton and the inaugural poet now, who very famous, Amanda Gorman, all met, and people zoomed in and joined them, all like that. So that was a real start. Tomorrow, Monday, and that being March 15th, I guess, Deb Haaland is scheduled for her confirmation. So we're going to be thinking of that as well in all of that. So everything here is about woman, and may she hasten to arise. That's what we're saying. And if you just now go from here down to here, I have this here as Earth Woman. Earth Woman, and this is Little South, Setula, and that's her attribute. Could be harvest, it could be the season. And then here behind her, this is a little sand painting, and this is called Grasshopper Girl. And she is the parthenogenic factor. She's metamorphosis, she's the germinator, she is the recessive double of woman. So that's real important there. If we go up here, here's another little sand painting. This is like the goddess. That's what this is. This is the female divinity here to represent changing woman. And she's holding a little frond there, this little frond. It's a spruce frond. Name is Cho'uri, which means, in the language, in the beginning. And it's also the symbol of life. And next to it I put this little kind of Indian lady looking doll to also represent changing woman, the true sovereign of Turtle Island. And I put a yellow feather there to also say she also represents the sun as well as the earth. Now from there we can go up here to my major piece here, my big piece here. This is my painting, but this is actually a photo print of my painting. The actual painting is very big, like about 4 feet by 6 feet. And Vivian made this poster print for me. She's a photographist there in Nevada. And what it is that I'm saying who she is Mexica. Mexica would be like to say the goddess of Mexico. Mexico actually is named for her, Mexica. And the people who eventually became named Aztecs are really the Mexica. And so all of that, that's what that's about. And what's happened is that once that the Spanish and the Catholics had arrived there in Mexico, somebody else came to the forefront. So you can go right down here. Now, this is a picture of the Virgin of Guadalupe. Now, Virgin in Mexico means goddess, the goddess Guadalupe. And she is mounted here on a ceramic tile, very appropriately. She is kind of the cover of Mexica. The native people know her as Tenochtitlan. Tenochtitlan would mean something like, Earth Mother, Earth Goddess. And when I was a student in Mexico, a Zapotec woman, Victoria, took me to her shrine where the original painting of her, which is on a cloth, I was as close to her as I am right here, like that. So I've had, a personal meeting with her, for instance. So she is the national icon of Mexico. Now, he mentioned the United States of America. Now, the United States of America, we have goddess also. And that goddess is right here. Can you see that? We know that as the Statue of Liberty. Now, the Statue of Liberty is actually the goddess Libera. And the goddess Libera is really Persephone. Persephone, you know, a little bit of the story, the myth, you know, she is being held in the underworld by Pluto or Hades, and periodically she is let out because her mother Demeter will withhold all light and fruitfulness from the world if she is not let out of the underworld. And so that's where the liberty comes in. The actual piece is a gift from France. And I think it's actually named, you know, Liberty, Enlightenment of the World. And when I was 12 years old, my grandmother took me there, and I was up there in her head, looking out, a ray upon the world. In the talk or conference with Nancy Pelosi, Hillary Clinton, and what's her name? Amanda Gorman, Pelosi said something wonderful, and that is when she was a girl, she had I would call a vision of that dome capital. And that's really wonderful, really here in Turtle Island, Native America, that really means everything, you know, to us. And upon that, Claudia remarked, Nancy Pelosi, for us, is the Statue of Liberty. And here from the, we call it San Diego Poetry Annual, here's a haiku that I want to read with that. It's by Bono Santos, the San Diego haiku poet. Lady Justice, the earth rattles in her wake. So that's really, really wonderful. Now if I can just go back to Pelosi for a minute. I kind of follow that quote for one from Deb Haaland. I'm putting these words, you know, to her. The day when mountains move has come. Though I say this, who believes me? Mountains sleep only for a little while that had once been active in flames. But even if you forgot it, just believe, people, that all the women who slept are now awake and move. Okay, now we're going to come back over here, and to go with this piece, if you focus on this shield here as a butterfly, I would call her the obsidian butterfly, and I'm going to read a piece from this shield to go with my Mexica painting. You see that she is emerging out of the maguey plant, which is, you know, very, very, very significant in Mexico from ancient times. This is the reading. The maguey plant opens their petals. It is our mother, she whose face is masked. Her starting point is Tomona-chan. The goddess is upon the pointed cactus. She is our mother, obsidian butterfly. Oh, let us look upon her. She is fed upon stags' hearts in the 9 plains. She is our mother, queen of this earth. With fresh earth, with fresh plumage, she is clad. At the 4 corners of the earth, where the javelinas break, oh, into a deer is she converted. Over the stony ground, Coyote comes to behold her. The praise ripples outward in his hands like a flower. Who does not long for you, you that makes the flowers bloom, oh, life's creatoress? Now with that image of the butterfly, I'm going to go just down below it, and here is a basket with the image of the butterfly. So I'll tell you about what this is about. Claudia has been a California Indian basket maker. That's an association with CBUS, it's called like that. And she learned from Kumeyaay Justin Farmer, Santa Isabel, and Eva Salazar of Baja. And if you look here, this basket here, this is her basket. It was showcased at one of the basket conferences, and it has been made with pine needles and sewed with juncus grass. These pine needles come from a stand of pine trees that is native here, and that's at Torrey Pines. And that these pine needles are longer than other pine needles, so it facilitates, and it is also within the tradition of Kumeyaay people to make baskets like this. Now, the organization of the Basket Makers Association has these conferences in different places. And the one that I'm mentioning now is in Tucson. That is the Sonora Desert Museum. The Tohono O'odham Nation hosted this basket conference. And we were there, and Claudia was the only representative of Kumeyaay basket making. There were several people of Hopi basket makers and their families there, and we became quite well acquainted with them. And one of those basket makers, a very renowned basket maker, is Joyce Ann Sufkey of the village of Chapangavu. I can say that name, Chapangabuvi, like that. And this is her basket. And with a nominal exchange, this basket did she give over to Claudia, and that's how that it is here. Now, what I'm representing here is all about woman. And this culture, the Hopi, is all about woman. Only a woman who has been initiated into the women's society can make a basket. And that this society that she belongs to is the Lakota society. This is a women's society. All of the culture of basket making and women is still intact and continuing there in the nation of the Hopi. And it is quite remarkable. Also, the Lakota society is a member, as Joyce is, of the Water Clan. Now let me tell you, the Water Clan were the last of the clans to come here. They came across the Pacific. They called like footsteps, islands, across the Pacific, came up the Sea of Cortez to the mouth of the Colorado, and up there to the mesas where these villages are located. And with that, they brought a special kind of basket that is not known to exist in this country before then, and I'll get around to showing you that. And that this society has continued in the mother-to-daughter tradition of learning the baskets and so forth. Now these baskets, have a lot of ceremony and ritual. That's what they're really made for, and all the materials that go into making them. Now, where these baskets come from, I'm going to show you this. You can look here. This kind of basket, we refer to it as a wicker basket. It's made of what we call a rabbit brush, like that. And the archaeologists are puzzled because suddenly this kind of basket appears, in the archaeological record, and there's nothing before it, nothing. Where did it come from? They don't know, but I can tell you where it's come from. The Hopi, or their ancestors, I should say, are Egyptian. They're Egyptian in the sense that they actually have originated in the eastern part of the Nile Delta. There's really a specific district there. and that this place where that they have stemmed from overlooks the Sinai Desert, Sinai Peninsula, but in particular the turquoise mine, exactly that. And so these people have come here from there, like that. So nearby, that is in the very eastern Mediterranean, is southern Turkey. And a modern, of course, archaeological excavation of a very important and large site is called Catalhayak, that is 9,000 years old. I've seen the photographs, of these excavations, and that's where this basket is from. This basket is coming actually from, not the basket itself, but this way of making a basket. I'll turn it over to see the other side here. Is there 7,000 years old, excavated in southern Turkey. So you can see how that this came forth this way. So all of the Hopi have ceremony and so forth. They resisted the Spanish and the Catholic incursions very, very strongly, even sometimes slightly tragically, like that. But they have remained very much intact with their culture and language. The language is also of the Semitic language family, as is Hebrew and Arabic and Libyan. And all of these, go with it. And part of the culture that I'm also going to continue here, like that. Here I have this figure here that is being called Kokopelli. And Kokopelli is very much, caught the fascination of Americans, evidently, because he's everywhere. He's on our shower curtain. There's figures of this character all over. And pretty much they call him the flute player and don't seem to really know, anything about him. There are many petroglyphs of this character, and he is real evidence that these people, along with Kokopelli, have come from Egypt. That part of Egypt in particular, that is the eastern Nile Delta. Also, there is, besides DNA, there's called the chromosome count. And it's something that changes very, very slowly. And there's two places, at least registered in the world, that's called the black factor. The black factor is one, the Nile, and the other is southern India. The evidence is that the Hopi are bearing the black factor from the Nile, in this case, the eastern Nile Delta. Now, this character, Kokopelli, is really a manifestation, is what I would call it, of the great horned serpent Temu. This is thoroughly Egyptian. And here, if you can focus right here, this I put here, this is a photograph of a Hopi dish with a picture of the horned serpent. So when you see the character here, how he's bent over and he's playing a flageolet like that. He has no nose or anything, so he is still the serpent boy. Basically he's son of the great Temu, who is female and is figured all through Native America. In Cherokee, she's Uktena. She's also in the Zuni, in the Yaquis. Everybody has her, like that. So that's very much who she is. Now, this piece here would be customarily called a kachina. A kachina is basically referred to as a cult taking place in the Zuni, in the Hopi nation, but also Zuni. And this one in English is called Crow Mother. Her name is actually Angushehe. Angushehe really is a manifestation of the protective aspect of the Greek Athena. I say Greek Athena because that's a Greek name the Greeks had taken the Egyptian goddess Neith and had militarized her. She militarized Athena and made her the guardian of the city of Athens. Part of her attributes, I would call it, is that she has a shield, spear, and helmet. So these protective aspects have been personified, and in the sense of this Kachina, she's a holy person. And at the right time of the year, they have what they call the Bean Festival, and she comes out as the leader of many other holy people, Kachinas. These are spirit people. And she holds a very large tray like this with corn and seed and beans and all these kind of things, she's holding here. And people will take, handfuls of it to plant in their garden. So that's her main function as the leader of all of the other spirit beings that we're calling Kachina, Kasina, like that. Now, the Athena goddess has as her symbol, at least in Greece, is the owl. And the owl, I think, has somehow evolved into, I don't exactly know how it got to be the crow mother, but somehow there's, to me, an evolution there that's taken place. And if you look here, this is a Hopi carving out of turquoise, a stone of turquoise, of the owl. And if you go right over here, this is actually a Greek symbol of Athena as the owl. That's who that is there. So she is in there. And this is a Hopi little dish. They're very characteristic of Hopi pottery. It always has this coloration, and the black is painted with a certain kind of a weed that renders this. I don't know the meaning of the image there, but it is from the village of Walpi. And Walpi evidently was also known for making this kind of plaque. Now this kind of basket making, this coil kind of basket making, the 19th century American basket collectors who made themselves connoisseur of Indian basketry did recognize, that these baskets are seen in the Mediterranean and have written about it. And so they'll leave it to the anthropologists to figure that out. But let me show you here this basket. This basket is not Native American. It's from North Africa. It's a Berber. Now the Berbers may be the same people as the Zuni, or very much like them. In other words, that northwest part of Libya is where the Berbers are. The Berbers' name means Babar, they follow the constellation of the bear there. And the material that they call this kind of grass is sika. This is sika grass. And it looks so similar that dealers, in town, they mistake these for Hopi baskets. The material, the grass on the Hopi basket is called seaweed. The seaweed basket, seaweed like grass, like this. You can see the similarity for these two things here. So all the way that we can begin to see truly who the people are here in Turtle Island, and get past, or through or beyond anyway, the fables that American Europeans have made up about people and about this country. And we really need to do that. And Coyote is one of those who's doing that. Tracking the fat left undone is what I call it. And really want to say again how fortunate we have had Eagle to protect our doctors, the lawmakers in the White House Hogan, where the murderous wasps attacked, and not a single one of the doctors was harmed. That is so wonderful. The men and women guarding them were injured, but none of the doctors were injured, and that our country is still going forth. Now I want to finish up with a reading by Mary Oliver from White Pine. In a dark wood. This is not song. This is not singing. This is not thoughtful. It comes from no idea. It is only heat and good cheer, or even less, nervousness, the grim melodious anxiety of the beast, the announcement that something more than inertia is present and recognizes the fact of evening, a click in the brain, or sees, and nothing to do about it. Black snake twining up trunk and branches toward nest, and still the bead of the heart must make a noise about it. It's one noise, a waterfall of noise, no thought, no idea, simply noise. Call it noise, which rises through the leaves, not out of them, but through them. All creatures are beneath us, yes, in the order of things. But listen, listen. Each voice shimmers, yet it is one voice. The damp and sonorous exaltation of the dead, or the not yet born, who still know everything. Do you know what I'm saying? Everything, everything has changed.